A green feast for the eyes, representing order. But it also guzzles precious water and creates hardship. It's not a meadow or even an edible plant, yet it's been quietly mesmerizing humans for centuries. A mud-colored wasteland in the middle of Berlin. Exactly on the spot where the East German government once demolished the ancient Prussian castle, something special is about to be created, something that will give a new face to this famous site. The office of landscape architect Gero Heck won the bid to realize it. More than 2 years of planning were needed to let grass grow over this historic and controversial place. Quite a challenge for the landscape designer. The lawn has come a long way, as the sod was harvested in the Netherlands and shipped overnight to Berlin. The sod arrived just in time to be laid out on its new home. The project isn't cheap, but city officials hope to create true natural beauty in the midst of the city. The grass will also produce oxygen for more than 300 people, a rate equal to 200 acres of pine forest. But what else will the lawn provide?
Ich glaube, was die Nutzer, die hier zahlreich herkommen,
I suppose those coming here appreciate its purpose.
Komprimierte Natur, also dass man
Living in such an urban, concrete environment, a large vegetative area of lawn will be a kind of cultivated wilderness, an accessible piece of nature.
Wildnis, als ein Stück Natur empfindet.
But above all, it's a huge invitation to relax. Although grass has been called hair of the earth, decorative lawns are anything but natural. With a heritage stretching back to the Age of Enlightenment, fine turf is a royal descendant. The roots of the modern garden date to the 18th century England. Its purpose was to represent power and wealth. Large areas of turf were a symbol of how much land could be used for a purpose other than growing food, and only royals had the funds to employ a large number of gardeners to keep their greens in shape. Open parks were meant to express ideological values and claims to power. The English lawn as a status symbol emphasized the social hierarchy. Soon enough, the new garden ideal spread across continental Europe. Framed flower beds, so-called pleasure grounds, became the center of royal life. Sports like tennis, cricket, and croquet, also known as Pall Mall, evolved into favorite feudal pastimes, all played on the natural green carpet. The green mat finally became a stage. In time, the bourgeoisie followed the royal ideal. While gardens were once appreciated for self-sufficiency, modern leisure-loving society is unthinkable without neatly trimmed carpets of turf. A lawn demands full attention. Its sensitive culture cannot survive without regular care, since heat and weeds constantly endanger its perfection. However, a decorative lawn symbolizes power over nature. The more immaculate the green, the stronger man's feeling of control. Lawns keep firing our creativity. Even when we're children, they trigger our obsessions, in a good and a bad sense. Do we recognize ourselves in it? Does it remind us of our own mortality? What secrets lie within its green perfection? Baron Albrecht von Knigge is a keen producer of tender green. He knows all of its secrets as he runs one of the largest sod farms in Germany. Everything here is about the right upbringing. Clients come from as far as Azerbaijan to buy Knigge's turf. Delivery is a special challenge, as the sod has to be installed the moment it arrives at its destination. The nobleman is proud of his product.
To fulfill the same level of R quality for a homeowner is very difficult. The technical requirements, irrigation technology, and intensive caretaking cannot match what we provide here.
The lawns need 1 year of care before they're ready for sale. Mowing the grass 3 times a week makes it grow dense instead of high. 1.5 inches is considered perfect. The trimming is efficiently done by Germany's biggest lawnmower, custom designed and built by the Baron himself. A powerful suction device removes the clippings to prevent tangles and the spread of weeds and worms. Grooming per roll is just one of 120 steps that must be followed. The men keep a constant watch on the weather and use their own expert judgment to decide how long to use the district's largest irrigation system. The average water requirement of this turf is half a gallon per square yard per day. In midsummer, this can easily double. Proper humidity within the sod is critical for a successful harvest, which is why it's scheduled for early morning when there is fresh dew on the fields. The softer and moister the sod, the better it can be cut and rolled. Extra sensitive tires are an indispensable tool to avoid damage. In the whole of Europe, there's only one specialist able to maintain this kind of machine. Von Knigge is personally supervising the process. From harvesting to replanting, his team may have to wait as long as 24 hours, so ingenious logistics are required. The customer's reward is an instant, perfect rolled lawn without any hassle of sowing and growing. Such a weed-free garden may be expensive, but it's nearly perfect.
What we consider a well-produced lawn is actually a combination of several breeds. This product is able to adjust to the most diverse conditions. So our turf isn't a monoculture at all, but a blend of 3 different breeds: common meadowgrass, red fescue, and perennial ryegrass.
The lawn's consistent look isn't a coincidence, but a result of carefully selected color-matching varieties. Chemicals are also widely used to suppress unwanted plants. But as strict conservation laws prohibit chemical use in Europe, von Knigge has to import the seeds from the U.S. Most customers have no idea their lush garden carpet is grown overseas. But for true lawn lovers, such certified green outweighs any concerns. Impure blends of breeds are unacceptable for the nobleman.
Man sollte darauf achten, dass man eine Regel-Saatgutmischung kauft, denn
you should only ever buy a certified seed mixture, since this is the only way to get a certain minimal standard. Uncertified mixtures can also contain varieties breeded for animal grazing. These grasses will grow too strong and fast in your garden. The money you save will end up being spent on more mowing and care later on.
Des Samens sparen haben sie hinterher beim wiederholten und viel zu häufigen Mähen des Rasens.
For animal lovers, there are even mixtures blended to attract species of deer. Just one example of what a qualified lawn can do.
Bei dieser Rasensorte hier kann man sehen,
You can see how easily the sod can be rolled out without falling apart. It requires a very healthy network of roots. Look at this. Very little earth, but a lot of root mass. That's what guarantees a solid structure.
Das gibt die Struktur des Rollrasens in der Sode.
Hanging a roll of sod on your wall is just one purpose, though. More than 30 soccer fields are harvested annually at this family-run business. The prices aren't cheap, but its superior quality meets with a quick sale. Clients from all over Germany order their sod online. Impatiently, the customers await their instant green, sometimes a truckload, other times only a few square feet. The noble product is popular with epicures, who might even come to pick it up in their luxury cars.
Excellent.
Nowhere in the world are lawns as prized as in America. A green mantle of grass has rolled across the continent and lodged itself in the minds of the people. $40 billion is spent on upkeep each year, while toy mowers teach tomorrow's lawn owners that mowing is fun. There are 12 different climate zones spread across the U.S., and lawns can be found in each one of them, from Arctic to subtropical. 82,000 Americans are hurt by lawnmowers every year, and according to NASA surveys, the number of grass clippings produced each year weighs more than 2 times the Paris Eiffel Tower. More surface area in gardens, parks, and golf courses is devoted to lawns than to any other irrigated crop, including corn. As part of a set of values such as success, family, and security, maintaining a well-kept front lawn has become a Puritan duty. More than any other form of growth, it satisfies that part of the human soul which longs for control. As the middle class migrated to the suburbs in the 1950s, cultivated lawns became part of a new housing standard, one that demonstrated social mobility. Like the interstate highway system, the lawn has unified the American landscape. But in an arid region like California, maintaining that unity isn't easy. Though the water level sinks dramatically in summer, the green dream is kept alive in every season. It's just a too vital part of the American dream. The annual wildfires in the LA region can't harm the idea either, even though fire brigades have problems finding enough water. When necessary, the scorched hills can even be hydro-seeded by helicopter. Under these special conditions, tending the lawn is often outsourced to pros. One of them is Gary Gordon. He runs a lawn care service in the Hollywood Hills, where cost hardly plays a role. The plants in this garden, for instance, are worth $25,000 and need regular care. There's no room for slacking, as homeowners expect a perfect garden atmosphere year-round.
This is about 3 weeks old. 3 weeks ago, I weeded out the bed behind me, and today I pulled this out of the same bed that I weeded 3 weeks ago. So this goes to show you that in our area, you have to stay on top of the weeds.
Summer is peak time for the crew. Customers are willing to pay several $100s a month for Gary's service. His team manages the job in 20 minutes per garden, as time is money in this business. While his guys take care for the mowing, the boss keeps an eye on the results.
People still love their lawn. I mean, you talk to anybody in Southern California that has a yard, and the first thing they'll say is, how do you like my lawn? Isn't it green? Isn't it beautiful? More people will complain about problems with their lawn than their plants. They'll have plants die, and they won't say much about it. But if their lawn starts to turn brown, they will be all over you. They will be asking you, why is it turning brown? What can we do about it? How can we fix it? I want my lawn to be green.
1/6 of Americans entrust their lawn to an expert like Gary. But in a place where temperatures can rise to 36 degrees Celsius or 97 degrees Fahrenheit, daily mowing can be a tough business. The job has to be done quickly because the next client is always waiting. As the rich and beautiful like to stay anonymous, the garden expert doesn't even know the names of all of his clients. But his work is highly appreciated.
No, I've never done this lawn myself. It's a big project. They come twice a week. This is unusual for someone to come twice a week, but I think it's worth it, and he really stays up on things and looks beautiful.
Gary worked as a greenkeeper on a golf course for years and developed his own tricks to keep the turf green. Using human hair as an ideal fertilizer is just one of them. Still, he wonders if a perfect lawn is really worth the cost.
I think it is becoming a privilege of wealthier people because to order a big lawn like some of the ones you've seen today, you're probably looking at $100 to $150 to $200 a month in water. And as far as gallonage, you're probably looking at thousands of gallons of water per month going into the lawn.
A sharp mower blade is essential for achieving a smooth look. While a dull blade rips off the grass, leaving yellow tips, a decent mower cuts it accurately. Gary is constantly checking samples to keep the turf looking consistent. But by far, this isn't the only challenge.
1 week we mow actually like east to west, and next week we'll mow north to south, and the next week we'll try to mow on a diagonal pattern. That way, you put a pattern into the lawn. You show that you show that you're mowing differently, so that it shines a little better. It's darker on one stretch than it is on the other stretch because of the way the sunlight hits the grass.
The professional's greatest source of pride is this dense lawn of St. Augustine grass. An unusual test verifies the quality of this masterpiece. A lawn with long-lasting care can be so soft, even an egg can bounce off it. Such quality can't be taken for granted. Wherever care and irrigation is neglected or can't be paid for, the grass will burn and wither away. Research shows that a lush-looking lawn can raise a property's market value up to 15%. With so much at stake, unusual means become a serious option. What may sound like putting lipstick on a pig is promising to be a good side job for real estate agent Steve. He hasn't sold a house for some time now, but his non-toxic lawn coloring guarantees enduring green for 3 months.
We all like to look at things that are alive and things that are healthy, and this influences the individual, and it'd be more positive because we don't feel so probably tired or dried out, you know. I think we feel refreshed.
Of course, there are more sophisticated approaches for dealing with the problem, too. Xeriscaping refers to a method of landscape design that questions the traditional turf. Water consumption is minimalized by planting only native plants whose natural requirements are appropriate to the local climate.
There's no way of taking those out without
It takes 2 days of digging to dramatically cut down this household's monthly water bill. However, a little help is added from outer space.
We cut the lawn back, put in a brand new irrigation system, which is a satellite-controlled box. That box is controlled by the satellite. The satellite knows when it's going to be hot, when it's going to be cold, when it rains, what type of soils you have, what type of plants you have. You program it so it knows all this stuff, and it waters accordingly.
For neighbors who still trust in the old ways, the new appearance takes some getting used to. As a professional gardener, Gary would never use chemical tricks. Yet he knows all the options, including artificial coloring. From coyote pea surrogate to ant-stopping agents, a remedy is available against any kind of turf enemy.
Well, the lawn's never been a natural thing. You know, you have to put it in. It's not natural. There are certain weeds like crabgrass, spurge, nutsedge. Once they get a root in, they will grow and they will take over the lawn. They will start to kill what's there and they will become the predominant species there. If you want a lawn, you want the lawn. You don't want a bunch of weeds. You don't want a bunch of other grasses or anything that's growing. You want the lawn you paid for in your yard.
To achieve the industrial lawn ideal, Americans have used chemicals with abandon for decades. Their average use on a home lawn is far higher than in farming. The Environmental Protection Agency estimates that pesticide use on North American lawns exceeds 30,000 tons a year. Gary's own garden doesn't live up to these numbers at all. He doesn't use chemicals or cut his grass more than once a month. He isn't interested in breathing gasoline after work. Instead, since the age of 9, he's loved breeding orchids. In his greenhouse, he's tenderly cherishing his own idea of perfection. "2,300 miles east in Canton, Ohio, lawns are appreciated just like everywhere else. But something is different here. This small town used to be famous for its engine factories, but today, after their demise, it is struggling. Half of Canton's population have moved away in recent years. Empty factories are everywhere. It's no surprise to see one burn down, since insurance fraud is a profitable business. Building inspectors Angela Cavanaugh and Jerry Baker have an eye on demolition and building permits. But they also have another job. In an effort to beautify the city, lawmakers have created Ordinance 551.02 to force homeowners to keep their grass short.
Okay, everybody's cut their lawn here. This person hasn't. This person hasn't. But most people cut their lawns. See how these houses are all nice and that house looks like they don't care. What we do is if we see a lawn the grass is over 8 inches from grade, we can cite them for not mowing their lawn. And then if we come back and see that it is not done, it is a misdemeanor. offense, and they can be charged criminally for not mowing their grass after some time. If you do not pay your fine through the court system, you may be jailed, yes. But that's in a very severe case. Usually people will cut their grass before going to jail. That's your landlord?
My landlord?
Yeah.
What about him?
Tell him to cut his grass.
Okay, I'll tell him that, all right?
Okay, I'm Angela. Nice to meet you.
My name is Kevin.
Hi, Kevin.
Hi.
Not keeping the lawn short in Canton carries a risk of up to 30 days in prison. In some cases, the rundown houses even have to be demolished.
Yeah, it's bad enough to take down. Okay, is this going to be, put this on the demo list, 1117.
Cite them for high grass and debris on the front porch.
The idea of lawn as status symbol is in danger in this poor community. Changed realities are hard to accept, so some resist in their own way.
Good morning. Good morning.
Good morning. How are you, Mr. Williams?
Just fine. I'd like to use the lawnmower this morning, if you don't mind.
Okay, this is what you have to do. You have to sign in your name, your phone, and the address. And you know that all lawnmowers have to be back within an hour and 30 minutes. Anything after an hour and 30 minutes, you have to call.
All right. We're going to have a few days without rain.
Oh, yes. Okay, you said you wanted the lawnmower.
Yes.
And then we also have a weed eater. So we're trying to get this lawnmower out. We have to put the gas in here. Do you need a weed eater?
No, not right now.
Okay.
For the past few months, homeowners can borrow lawnmowers and garden tools from this neighborhood community center for free.
My plan was to take it easy this morning, then cut the grass, and then relax the rest of the day. But the grass won't wait, so the sun is shining today, so it's a good day to cut the grass.
Mr. Williams' own lawnmower has been broken for a while, so he gladly accepts the community center's offer. He doesn't even have to pay for the gas. Highly motivated as he is, it takes the retiree half an hour to tidy up his garden. Inspired by his effort, other neighbors work hard to make a similar green impression. The free mower alone does the trick.
Right now, we just been doing the grass in the neighborhood, trying to beautify it, make it look better for the neighborhood. A lot of people don't have the lawnmowers to do it. They might feel they want to do it, but they don't have the lawnmowers to do it. But now they do.
I'm keeping it up because I live here, and I care about where I live. And I don't have to live in an exclusive neighborhood to enjoy my home or to make my home nice.
Meanwhile, Angela and Jerry continue their patrol. Not every neighborhood they visit needs the offer of a free lawnmower to get the grass cut.
The Hills and Dales neighborhood is an old neighborhood and it's well established. The beauty of this neighborhood in that the more wealthier of our folks here in Canton live in this neighborhood. The lawn care here is a sign of prominence. It's also a sign of pride. It's also a sign of visible wealth and prestige.
A timeless standard for which the new neighbors won't spare on costs, such as the heated waterfall that never freezes in winter. Soon the green status symbol will flourish here as well. The passion for a perfect lawn is a moral obligation, uniting all classes of society. Well-manicured grass remains an institution, a way of life, a setting for childhood, and a part of the American dream of home ownership and happiness. But more and more people can no longer hold on to the traditional standard. In a society still divided by class, the condition of this old-fashioned symbol questions the validity of this promise. On the other side of the Atlantic, evidence can be found that tending lawns doesn't have to be a chore. The quiet seaside resort of Southport is home to Brian Radham, who's been fascinated by lawnmowers since childhood. But it's not just the fully automated, solar-powered mowing robot that gets him excited. Brian has turned his hobby into a profession.
Grass cutting is quite fascinating. It's got it's the smell, it's the character, it's the noise of the machine. And some of the old ones bring a real smile to your face, a little bit like driving a vintage car.
Push mowers, riding mowers, electric or motor-driven. Brian even offers hovercraft models. But the largest attraction of his family-run store can be found on the second floor. The British Lawnmower Museum features everything that could get a genuine fan excited. All thanks to one man.
Edwin Buddin, who invented the lawnmower in 1830, worked in a woolen mill, and the owner of the mill got an order for guardsmen's uniforms, and he wanted the cloth to be perfect. So he asked Edwin Buddin to make him a machine that would cut all the tufts and the bobbly bits off the cloth. And what he'd invented was this cutting principle, which is a revolving blade over a fixed blade. And he found that it cut the grass really efficiently. And then eventually, when he finally put it on the market, he said, people will find my machine an amusing and a healthy exercise. And it really hasn't changed to this day.
The little device started to change the world's surface in 1840. It was this machine which allowed large areas of lawn to be maintained at a low cost. First powered by horses, then steam, and ultimately by the combustion engine, the lawnmower's success reflects the story of industrialization. Brian refurbishes the old treasures too. For hard-to-find spare parts, he turns to his lawnmower cemetery. And this is just one out of 3 stocks, more than 600 old machines. The most precious ones are on display in the museum. Still, the exhibition documents far more than the odd cult of cutting grass. This wedding present for the royal couple was supposedly used by the Prince of Wales himself.
By the 1950s, there were a few manufacturers that are not normally associated with lawnmowers. Companies like Royal Enfield, famous for making motorbikes, and Vincent motorbikes. Wilkinson Sword, famous for making razors. They made a superb lawnmower in the 60s. But as cheaper machines came on the market, the quality machines started to dwindle down.
While mass-produced lawnmowers from the Far East govern today's market, Brian's mission is to keep the memories of old-school engineering alive. It takes a lot of work to bring a 1926 Atco standard back to life. His satisfaction doesn't come from using his lawnmowers, it comes from saving them for posterity. The Death Valley National Park in Eastern California is one of the hottest places on Earth. Here, where the rainfall average is less than 2 inches per year, hundreds of thousands of tourists visit the park annually. For over 80 years, Furnace Creek Ranch has presented itself as a special attraction in the park, the golf course with the lowest elevation on Earth. You better get up early for a game as the heat quickly rises in summer. It's a special challenge for the players to finish by noon before the temperature climbs to 46 degrees Celsius, 115 degrees Fahrenheit or higher. Paying visitors expect and find an exclusive ambience in such an extreme environment. How can this luxurious oasis exist in the middle of a desert? To keep the grass green, about 20 fluid ounces of water per square foot are needed each day. Joel Southall is the environmental manager of the ranch. It's his job to ensure the golf course has an ample water supply.
We have large groundwater reserves, so there's natural springs throughout the park and a tremendous amount of groundwater. And so that's where the water for the golf course and for the ponds and for our property comes from deep production wells up in the hills behind us. Most of the groundwater in the park is from thousands of year-old snowmelt that has come down through the aquifer and is generated that way. There is replenishment through rainfall, but my job is to make sure that we're using all of our resources wisely, making sure that we're only using what we need, we're using it in the most efficient and smart way possible.
The water is tapped from wells hundreds of kilometers away and stored in huge reservoirs above the resort. Permanent controls are necessary, as Joel has to keep an eye on consumption. Still, underground water reserves have been shrinking for decades. Down below, the water is first led into the pool, free of chlorine. Then it's pumped into this pond. Through a well-engineered network of subsurface pipes, it runs to irrigation hubs on the golf course. The turf only gets watered at night and early in the morning to keep evaporation low. Few plants stand a chance of survival under the valley's harsh conditions. The golf course in Furnace Creek appears like a miracle in the desert. It is man alone who keeps the site alive. Various control points send data to determine how much water is needed in different areas. The data is processed by a central computer controlling the automatic irrigation. Along with Superintendent Chris, Joel monitors the fragile ecosystem of the complex 24 hours a day. While high-tech ensures the necessary conditions, the golfers seek a different challenge under the heat of the desert sun. The course is far more demanding than others due to the higher gravity and atmospheric pressure 200 feet below sea level. The visitors love the special atmosphere of the course.
Having this beautiful grass out here under these circumstances is very unusual. You don't really expect to see grass like this in a desert.
I live in Scotland, which is obviously the home of golf. This is where it all started, but you must put a lot of water in these courses to keep them as green in the middle of this desert.
It's in great shape. They water it pretty good. Raymond plays even at nighttime when it's 120 out. Raymond plays all year long.
Of course, choosing the right variety is crucial. Bermuda grass, which has a high heat tolerance, is used throughout the course. Its name aside, the breed actually originated from Africa.
The Bermuda grass really likes hot temperatures, and when it gets any sort of water, it grows a lot, especially in the summer. Less in the winter. It goes dormant, it becomes brown and stops growing in the winter, but in the summer it grows a tremendous amount.
Bermuda grass can cope with dry, sandy ground. Its roots grow deep and are highly capable of storing water. But due to its robust character, it's also difficult to kill if unwanted. Yet, it's exactly this quality which makes it appropriate for the extreme golf course.
If you have real thick grass, like in this Bermuda, the weeds can't come in here. It's not going to happen. But when we stopped seeding, that's just pretty much bare dirt with the dormant Bermuda on it, and we started getting poana, and that's annual bluegrass. And the problem with it is that it forms seed heads when the grass is only that tall, and what that does is make bumps. So if you're putting on that, instead of your ball rolling in a nice straight line toward the hole, instead it goes like a pinball. It's just moving all over the place.
Among all weeds, Poa annua is the most widely spread and well-adjusted to all climates. In a world of artificial perfection, this inconspicuous little herb is the dangerous villain. Its progress is unstoppable. The biogeneticist David Huff is exploring the secrets of annual bluegrass. To decipher its genetic properties, he collects samples of the plant from all over the world. After 15 years of research at the Institute of Turfgrass Science at Pennsylvania State University, he was able to prove that a seemingly worthless weed like Poa annua can actually be turned into a perfect putting green.
It is widely distributed in the world. There isn't a place on the planet where this grass doesn't grow, including the islands off of Antarctica. And to many people, this annual bluegrass is a weed, and it invades their turf, and they've spent many years trying to eradicate it. But as you can see from this sample, it actually has many fine quality characteristics, has very high shoot density and tolerates very close mowing.
There are hundreds, if not thousands, of biological varieties. No one knows the exact number. On the Institute's experimental fields, the growth of the plant is examined to find the most commercially viable kind. One step toward this goal is to categorize the hardy samples. For 3 years, the grass is closely observed and studied. As soon as a sample shows promising attributes, the geneticist tries to isolate its specific genetic properties. But the exact reproduction code necessary for successful breeding hasn't yet been cracked. Harvesting seeds remains a tough job done entirely by hand. Though Poa annua is already being used at the U.S. Open, a drawback is that after a few years, it starts to develop new, uncontrollable characteristics. Meanwhile, the scientist keeps recording the rolling resistance of the mysterious weed. In the 50s, the Turfgrass Institute launched a bestseller. The Pencross variety is now used on 70% of the world's 30,000 golf courses. The genetic ancestors of this global player have been resting in a humble little tub for decades. Out on the test field, the grass experts research lawn varieties suitable for the demanding homeowner market.
That one's got good density.
Not as good color here.
Yeah,
as
this
that
one's
one.
got the color.
Yeah.
But this one's got better density.
Yeah.
It's a finer texture.
Consumers want a lawn capable of dealing with both heat and cold, with little need for water and mowing. Before being put on the market, any new kind of grass undergoes a standardized 5-year testing procedure.
Each of those species have their own strengths and weaknesses, and sometimes we use those species alone as a monoculture and only use cultivars of one species. And in other instances, we actually blend different species together. And so not only does it have to look good and perform well, but it has to do that month after month, season after season, and year after year.
For the first 200 years of American history, lawns were the exception in landscape design, not the rule. Settlers were importing grass seed from Europe, Asia, and Africa. Even after more than a century of research, the most popular exotic varieties of lawn grass failed to naturally stay green year-round. Adopting the biologic intruders and achieving perfection has turned into a billion-dollar business.
My girlfriend wanted to have a lawn again, and you'd think, all right, let's just take some grass and grow it. But maintaining a lawn is a heap of hard work, and soon enough, the ground is bare again. For 1 year, the grass remains pretty, but after 2 years, it's all gone and full of weeds. I can't bear the thought.
To water, to mow, to trim the edges, to fertilize, to thatch, to weed. Lawns demand man's constant time and attention. Does it have to be this way? Ludo de Vaux of Antwerp deals with 80 kinds of artificial grasses, all designed by him. He was the first in Belgium to commit to the new trend. Now business is doing well, and word of his quality product has spread.
We live here too, but it's become something like a showroom for artificial lawns, attracting visitors from all over Europe. People come from places like Germany and France because their home selection is poor, and they want to see how it looks in an outdoor facility. This is 409, 410, 411, and 412, with 411 being 409's little brother and 412 being 410's little brother.
What do you mean, little brother? It's not as high, is it?
Right, this one is a bit shorter and less dense.
I believe this is the future. After a long day at work, people don't want to spend their time mowing the lawn. In our society, you look ahead, not behind, and that is just what we're trying to do.
In the name of progress, the looms chatter away day and night. More than 400 soccer fields of artificial lawns are produced in this factory each year. The result is shipped as far as Dubai because the product is especially popular in arid regions. In a complex process, the polyethylene is woven on rubber mats. Rolls promising homeowners years of tranquility are piling up in the warehouse. There's only one challenge left.
Het is wel zo natuurlijk dat wanneer het zonnetje schijnt, en dat hebben we graag natuurlijk.
If the sun is shining, we feel happy, and everything heats up. So does our grass. Unlike natural turf that remains cool and fresh, ours warms up a little. But scientists have started to develop new additives to prevent this effect. The only thing that artificial grass is lacking is the smell.
Ludo offers a 10-year warranty on his artificial turf, but it can last up to 20 years before it has to be replaced. This indeed is a tempting argument for homeowners. Before the green dream can come true, the subsoil has to be carefully prepared. The ground has to be clean and smooth. Rubber mats made of automotive industry waste are laid out. In a skilled process, the rolls can then be carpeted and glued together.
Well, what about the curls?
They'll lift up. Trust me.
For the price of a compact car, customers get perfection that could never be attained the all-natural way.
Mijn man die kan er dus niet tegen als hij naar buiten kijkt en daar is een
My husband just can't stand when he looks outside and finds a bald spot here and some moss or a burnt spot over there. It really bothers him. Look outside now and all you see, a beautiful lawn. There's no hassle at all. He appreciates that a lot. Also, it's a nice even color.
Het gewoon één mooie egale kleur is. Ja.
Three days later, the garden season begins. Moles don't stand a chance here. Watering, mowing, trimming, fertilizing, thatching, resowing, aerating, weeding, all chores of the past. Here it is, the perfect lawn. It doesn't smell like we're used to, and flammability might become an issue too, but who cares? Still, a feeling of slight discomfort remains. Do we sense our suppressed longing for nature, wide open spaces, and freedom? Man's pursuit of the perfect grass is a fight that can never be won. There's only one thing for sure. Without human dedication, our cultivated piece of nature will soon be extinct. Wouldn't that be a shame?